What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with some newly launched items from Fenty. Fenty launched a line of concealers as well as a line of setting powders. And as usual, my annoying little ass ran out to Sephora the second it came out, like literally 15 minutes after the store opened, and annoyed them to take it out from underneath the thing for me while they were still packing it onto the display. Literally, that is what happens every single time Fenty comes out with a new product, and I'm so sorry to the girls who work at my local Sephora. Picked up one of the new Instant Retouch Pro Filter concealers. I picked up the shade 230. I color matched myself with it in the store, and I think it's a pretty good match. It's a good shade that I can wear on both my under eyes and on my face as something to cover up blemishes, if you will. And to give a little bit of like a better idea of how this works, I actually threw this on yesterday before I sat down to film this, and I wore it throughout my day without any powder over it just to see how it wore without powder, so that today when I use it on camera with this powder, I can give you guys a comparison. I figured it's better to like make it not a true first impression and give you guys more information than to make it like a freaking surprise for all of us, you know? I also picked up the Pro Filt'r Instant Retouch Setting Powder. I got the shade Butter because I felt like that would be the most universal for me to use on both my under eyes and to set the rest of my face. I also had a lavender one that I thought looked like it would be really cool for brightening. And they had Banana, which is a classic powder color. Personally, for me, banana powders are usually a little bit too yellow for my skin tone, so I like to skip those. Because they were still stocking the display, I actually didn't get to see the entire layout of the powders or see the testers in person, which is a bummer because I wanted to see like what the powder shades they were providing were, because there are a lot more shades of powder than you normally come to expect from a beauty brand that's sold at makeup counter. Usually, in my experience, that's something you see from brands that are meant to stock pro kits. An example of that would be Ben Nye, who you might know famously for their banana powder. So I thought that was pretty cool, and as this week goes on, like if I'm out and about running errands, I might pop back into the mall, go into Sephora, and take a look at what the shades look like in person, because I'm genuinely just curious. So today I'm going to try the concealer, we're going to try the powder, and I'm going to bring you with me throughout my day and conduct a wear test, but I'm also going to go ahead and do like a little small quick tutorial using Fenty products, because I don't like to do too many videos in a row where I'm just testing new products and not necessarily doing anything like creative for you guys or giving you something that you might want to recreate. So I'm going to go back into the Fenty Moroccan Spice palette today and create a look using this. I'm not sure what kind of look I want to do today, but I haven't dipped into this palette in a little while, and I do absolutely love this palette, so I think that it deserves another tutorial on this channel. And for those of you who watched my last video, I just wanted to let you know that I am wearing the Urban Decay Brow Blade again today, and I am still loving it. I think I actually like it better today than I did the first time I used it. I'm very impressed with the ease with which I get like a really good brow day with this product. So beautiful so far. So I did my foundation, I bronzed a little bit, I have not powdered my face, and I also have not concealed underneath my eyes. So first order of business, we're going to try the concealer, we're going to try it under the eyes, we're going to try it on a blemish. I don't have any pimples on my face right now, but I do have a lovely pimple right here on my neck, which I'm going to cover up today on camera, even though it makes me very uncomfortable, because for some reason when I get pimples on my neck, it makes me really self-conscious, more so than ones on my face, and I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. So I'm gonna accept the vulnerability and conceal that on my neck where I usually would just pretend it's not there. So first things first, let's dive into the Fenty Pro Filter Concealer. So this is the shade 230. I'm gonna start applying the concealer underneath my eyes. I have to say, I noticed yesterday, the first time I applied this, it feels extremely balmy and hydrating, almost like you're putting a moisturizer on your skin when you apply this concealer, which is very interesting to me considering that it does seem to dry down pretty well and not crease a ton. Yesterday I wore it the whole day just by itself. I didn't have any other makeup on, but I wore it around the house just with nothing over it, just to see how it held up, and it looked really good still by the end of the day. and it wasn't creasing, it didn't really come off, and I didn't set it with anything or use any setting spray, so it's got pretty decent wearing power in and of itself for sure. Oh, I think 230 might be a really good shade match for me. Good job, Nicole. So the formula of this is very, very hydrating feeling. They call it a creamy concealer, which makes a lot of sense to me because I was thinking as I used it yesterday that what this reminds me of the most out of any concealer I can compare it to is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is a good thing because I love that concealer. Before Shape Tape was my go-to, NARS Creamy Concealer was my go-to, and then after Shape Tape came the Too Faced Born This Way, the new one, and now we're trying this. And honestly, I don't know yet because I haven't worn it more than once, but we're off to a good start because it does remind me of something I like. So there it is under the eyes, and when it first is applied, it has like a little bit of a sheen to it, which I don't personally like very much because I find that when a concealer is a little bit dewy for the under eye area, it kind of emphasizes the fact that like I don't have a completely flat under eye area. Like you can see that little bit of a ditch there underneath my eye. I would say compared to Shape Tape or the Too Faced Born This Way Sculpting Concealer, this has less coverage. So this is the Instant Retouch Setting Powder. Like I said, I have the shade Butter. It is 0.98 ounces. Comparing that to the Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Setting Powder, which is 0.56 ounces, that's quite large. So that's pretty good value for your money. I'm just gonna take some and tap it into the cap. First, I'm going to try applying it with a damp sponge, and then we'll try applying it with a brush and see which we like better. Ooh, this has a little bit of a scent to it, which reminds me of my grandma's makeup. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's got like the smell of like a nostalgic powder. But if you don't like face products with scent in them, I don't think you'll like that because it's definitely noticeable. Applying that with a sponge, it looks pretty good. It doesn't look heavy. It looks like it's sitting very, very evenly and like nothing weird, nothing clinging over that concealer. So far so good. I'm gonna go ahead and apply the other side with a brush to see how it works with a brush. And just so you guys know, my usual technique as far as powdering goes, I do like to go in pretty heavy with a powder and then wipe it away immediately. I don't like to sit and let my powder bake, but I do like to put more than I need and then wipe some away. I feel like that gives me a better finish than if I just do like a tiny bit. If I'm doing a really light coverage foundation day, then I will just go ahead and like use like a teeny tiny bit and just leave it at that. But when I do a full face, this is usually the way that I find that it works the best. Leaving it to sit and bake on me has never looked right. I don't know why, it just does not work well on my skin. I'm just gonna take a little bit more on the brush and use it to lightly set the other areas of my face that often need to be set, like the center of my forehead, my chin. Since it's looking so lovely and light and not too heavy on my skin, I'm gonna actually use it to carve out my contour a little bit on the bottom of my cheek. And then just brush that away. I'm gonna try using it to cover up this pimple here on my neck. I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see better. I just put that on with the wand. I'm going to blend it in with my finger. This is the way that I prefer to cover blemishes, by the way. For some reason, I feel like when I blend them away with a sponge, it just takes away all the coverage. So I just dab it in with my finger. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more, see if we can build. Okay, the coverage is definitely buildable. That looks a lot better. And I'm just gonna dip back into that same powder we put in the cap on a sponge and pat over that. This time I actually am gonna let that bake, but only just for a minute or two. That way when I brush away the excess powder that's giving us that whiteness, I know that I'm not gonna be brushing away the concealer that's underneath as well. Let that sit for a few minutes. I'm just gonna go ahead and brush away the powder. Okay, that actually did a really good job. Now I'm happy. I'm very, very impressed with those two products so far. I feel like nothing looks heavy. Everything is sitting nicely. The color match was superb. And the powder reminds me of the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Veil, which is absolutely 100% my favorite powder of all time. And the reason it reminds me of that is because I used it pretty heavily, let it sit, and then wiped it away. And when I wiped it away, it left behind a very perfected version of my skin, but no heaviness. And really, like, you can't see that it's powdered. Like, when you look up close, it almost still looks dewy, which is what I love in a powder. I wanted to set my makeup, but I never wanted to be completely matte or heavy looking in any way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. I am going to do an eye look with the Moroccan Spice palette today. If you don't want to watch the tutorial portion and you're just here for the review, that's totally fine. I'm just trying to add a little bit of value for those of you who really enjoy tutorials as well. So if you don't want to see the makeup tutorial portion of this, I have everything timestamped down below. I always have timestamps and links and all of that in my description. So if you're ever wondering, that's where the information's at. To start off this eye look, honestly, I have really no idea where I'm going with this. You guys are coming along for the entire ride with me today because I don't know. I'm gonna start by going into the shade Cumin. Get it? On a smaller crease brush, I'm going to go into the shade Saffron. I'll tell you one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite palettes actually. I have used this before and been able to blend saffron into this gray shade flawlessly without it getting muddy. Like, how is that even possible? I don't even know why I thought to try, and I did, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we could just do anything with this palette. So I'm just taking Saffron on a MAC 221S, and I'm going to add that to the crease. I just did this entire other section of this eye and I wasn't recording. So we're gonna switch to this eye and I'm gonna show you what I did. I'm going into the shade Desert Baked on a flat brush from Alamar Cosmetics, and I'm going to put that over the entire lid area that we left open so far. And I am using this dry for two reasons. One, because these colors are actually very intense without having to add water. And two, because I'm going to make the golds that we put on the inner corner more intense than this gold, and I want that to stand out. So I'm going to go into the shade Mirage on a Luxie 141 mini brush. I'm gonna dampen that with some setting spray and start to pack that on the inner corner and bring it up along the inner corner area like this. I like the way that shade goes along with the golds in there, but it also adds like a little bit of a twist because it has like a little bit of a gold green reflect to it. So that kind of gives you the opposite color of what we did with the reds on the outer portion of the eye without completely clashing with it, which allows us to play with color a little bit, which I always enjoy. For the lower lash line, I'm going to continue playing with color a little bit. I'm gonna go into the shade Shisha Smoke on a BH No. 7 brush, and I'm going to use that to smoke out the lower lash line. I'm gonna go into the shade Fez Up, which is sort of like a plummy brownish purple shade that's nice and matte, and that's gonna be a great way to tie the gray into the reds above. So I'm gonna push that into my lower lash line. I'm also gonna bring it around the edge of my eye and start to blend up into the colors above it. So that'll darken up the outer corner of the eye and also easily connect those warm tones with the cool ones in the bottom. So I popped on the House of Lashes Stella Luxe Lash. For the skin, I finished it with the Becca Wild Honey blush. I used Brunette Betty from Urban Decay in the brow blade to create some freckles. And on my cheeks, I put some of the Fenty highlighter in Diamond Bomb. And now I just need to add a lip. Also, this is a fresh pair of lashes and the corners are refusing to stick down right now and it's making me a little angry. So we're gonna ignore that for now and come back to it later and try to fix it. For the lip to go along with this look, I am going to use the Fenty lip paint in the color Uncuffed. I went ahead and added some extra glue there so we could fix that, but while we're zoomed in like this, I wanted to give you guys an up close look at what the concealer looks like. I think it looks really good, honestly. It looks super smooth. I feel like I always have a little bit of a crease underneath my eye. Just to give you guys a view also of what the powder looks like on the rest of my skin, this is where I carved out that contour and it looks very, very light. I don't feel like it looks chunky or powdery at all. In general, it's sitting lovely. So I'm going to go about my day and take you guys along with me. I have to run some errands, just normal shit, go to Target, you know, as you do. Okay, I'll show you guys before I go anywhere what this looks like in natural light, like while it's still pretty fresh, so you can take a look at what it looks like under natural lighting, since the studio lights tend to make things look a little bit better than they actually even are. So I'll show you by a window, I will show you what it looks like in a few hours, and then I'll show you what it looks like before I go to bed. And during that last check-in, I will give you my official thoughts after my second day of wearing it. It's 2:32 p.m. right now, and this is what the Fenty concealer and powder looks like on my face in direct natural sunlight. I'm gonna zoom you guys in uncomfortably close in a second and show you like the nitty-gritty details. Okay, that's what it looks like on my under eyes. Really, really smooth, all things considered. I mean, I always have like a little bit of a crease right there, but whatever, that's my face, we can't get rid of that. And on the rest of my skin, I feel like my skin still looks pretty dewy, even though I powdered the entire thing, including my forehead. It still looks like a very natural finish. Honestly, looking deep into my pores, there's really no sign of powder on there whatsoever. Now, what will this look like in 5, 6, 7, 8 hours? I don't know, but so far, it's so natural looking on my skin. I think this is the only powder I've ever used that looks more natural and more radiant than the Hourglass one even, which is really saying something because that is my damn favorite powder. It's 7:29 p.m. It's really cold in my house. So I have a t-shirt, a hoodie, and this like sweater robe thing on, so I know that I look like Hagrid, but I'm cold, so I don't know what you want me to do. So it's been about 5 hours of wearing this so far, and I have to say, I am pretty impressed. I feel like I'm a little bit dewy through the center of my forehead and a little bit dewy around my nose. However, I have to watch the footage back because I'm not sure that I ever even put any powder on my nose, and I don't know why I would have skipped that, but I feel like I did. I'm gonna zoom you guys in very, very close in a second again so you can see what I'm talking about. The very, very, very tiniest little underneath part of my under eye is a little creased, but that is where I always crease because I just have a deep crease there. It just is what it is. No matter what I put on it, it looks creased when I don't even have any makeup on. But this is pretty minimal, and I'm not super surprised that the concealer is wearing so well because I did wear it all day yesterday without even setting it, and it wore very well under those circumstances. It wasn't a particularly long wear test. I think I wore it by itself for about 5 or 6 hours, but it did hold up just fine for that period of time. So up close and personal, this is what it still looks like. Everything is pretty much how we put it. A little bit shiny around the sides of the nose, like I said, but nothing's breaking up. My makeup is still intact. It's just getting a little bit dewy. And a touch dewy in the center of my forehead. And I do have a little bit of creasing in the fine lines of my forehead. The forehead creasing is pretty minimal, and it's also pretty normal for me, but if you're looking for a powder that's going to set you in such a way that it prevents forehead creasing or fine line creasing where others don't, this might not be the one for you. But I am very impressed in general with like how fresh my makeup still looks, especially considering that I didn't add any setting spray after I put the powder down. Which is impressive for 2 reasons actually, because usually setting spray not only makes your makeup last longer, but it also makes your makeup look more natural. And I feel like I got a very natural finish from using this powder, even though I powdered my whole face. So I'm pretty happy with that as well. I do notice though that on the blemish that we covered on my neck, it is starting to show through the concealer a little bit. It doesn't look as obvious as it would without any concealer on it, but it didn't hold up as much on that area where it like rubbed on my coat and stuff when I went out, because I went out and bundled up before because it was 7 degrees today. So that's the update for now. I will check in with you guys one more time before I go to bed, and so far, pretty good. Okay, it's 10:28 p.m. I am still dressed like Hagrid. I'm about to get ready for bed soon, so I want to sit down and do my final check-in. I am definitely very dewy right now. The only place I've really lost any of my makeup is right around where my glasses touch my nose. I was actually beginning to edit this video already. So I was sitting with my glasses on for a while and that part of my makeup did come off. I went back and watched the footage since the last check-in and I didn't powder my whole nose. I only did the sides over here. But the sides over there are where I am very, very dewy. So I can definitely say that this powder is not going to be something that will keep you matte throughout the day. So if you're looking for powder that's going to control your oil, I'm thinking this is probably not the one for you, but the finish is very, very pretty. I definitely still feel like my makeup is fairly presentable and I can really tell that it hasn't moved much at all because I can even still see every one of the faux freckles that I put down. So it's still intact, it's just dewy and intact. Also, side note, just getting back to why I love the STUNNA lip paint so much, I have not touched this up one time the entire day. What? For those of you who are new here, my skin is combination, so I do get a little bit oily through my T-zone, less oily through the outer parts of my face. So personally, what I plan to do going forward is probably use this with a setting spray. I didn't spray my face after I applied it today because I wanted to see how this wore without the help of all-nighter, because you could just wear anything with all-nighter and it usually stays on pretty much the whole day. My final conclusion is that it stays looking very pretty the whole day. It doesn't break apart, and in that sense, the powder really holds up. But if you are looking for something that's gonna keep you matte, ain't gonna happen. If you are combination like me or any oilier, that's going to come through. If you're completely dry, this might be your holy grail because it is a powder that does obviously make your makeup wear nicely but keep you very dewy as well. The concealer itself I think is a beautiful finish. Yesterday when I wore it on its own, I didn't get any creasing as I wore it throughout the day, and today I experienced the same pretty much with the powder over it. So I would say that you probably can get away with wearing the concealer without powder, but I didn't wear it for quite as long, so as time goes on it might start to break up. I didn't take it that far, but it does seem promising and it definitely sets down a bit on its own. So I really like the way the concealer looks on my face. I'm not sure if I like it more than my Too Faced though. I think Too Faced might still have its place as my current favorite, but I do like this one and I could see myself using it, and I think that I could see myself using this more for days where I don't wear as much makeup, because sometimes if I want to just throw a little bit of concealer underneath my eyes, maybe do my brows and throw on a gloss, if I put on the Too Faced one, because it is so high coverage, I feel like it's too much compared to my natural skin, whereas with something like this, I can definitely wear it without a foundation and it wouldn't look obvious. And if you like more of a medium coverage concealer, I could see it being very, very good for you too. My experience with these products is generally very positive, and I'm definitely going to be playing with that powder more. What I may do is wind up using that powder to set the outer perimeters of my face and use something a little bit more heavy duty, like here and here and here, and like see what perfect combination I can come up with. But in general, I think these products are really, really good. I'm impressed with how much powder you get in that container as well. If anything changes, of course, I'll keep you guys updated, but as of right now, that's how I feel about it. I am probably gonna wear this again tomorrow and continue forming opinions. And I'm gonna keep you guys posted as well and let you guys know when I wear it with setting spray, does it get dewy slower? I think that about sums it up. I'm gonna go wash my face and go to bed. And that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you found this wear test helpful. Please let me know in a comment down below two things. One, are you interested in taking a look at the new Fenty concealer and powder? Two, what do you think about adding in an eye tutorial with a wear test like this? I personally think it's a nice way to cram in some more things that you could possibly recreate and use some old palettes again, stuff like that. So let me know if you agree in a comment down below. I would love to hear your feedback. Don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, because that really helps me out and I always appreciate it. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe, because I would love to have you around for more videos. I feel like you probably will have a good time. I can't make any guarantees about it, but like, I'm pretty confident. I'm sort of fun sometimes. If you'd like to keep up with me between videos, I am at Miss Quinface on pretty much every social media you could ever imagine in your whole entire life. But the one that I use the most is Instagram. And I keep my stories updated all the time, so if you follow me there, you will never ever miss when I upload a video, and you get to take part in the Q&As and the polls that we run to decide what videos I'm going to do next. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.